In this video I'm gonna show you how to build a Mesmer class archetype in Skyrim. The Mesmer is a psionic dual-wield blade dancer Phantasmalist that conjures clones and illusions to distract enemies while dealing ridiculous DPS with spectral weapons and melee and range. Use your mind as a weapon to make enemies doubt their own reality while slicing through their health bars, combining illusion and conjuration with melee and ranged physical damage. If you're looking for new mods to spice up your playthrough on a badass character, I will provide you with inspiration for visuals, armor, new spells and abilities, as well as a guide on how to build a Mesmer class with the right perks and rotation to optimize your damage and gameplay. Are you ready? The armor I chose to go with this build is the Royal Elven armor set. It is a light armor set that comes in 3 different variations for you to choose from. The mod creator added some crazy detail to the armor set. It's got that nice reflectiveness and shininess and matches the color combination of our build just perfectly. As far as the installation process is concerned, this is relatively easy as the mod has neither dependencies nor major incompatibilities. To obtain the armor in game, you just craft it at the forge, make sure you have the Elven smithing perk. As I know how much you guys love capes, I want to provide you with an option for a jiggling and wiggling cloak. The hood from a traveling mage armor by Fuse offers that sweet bounce to all my physics aficionados, and that literally's got you covered. To make our colors absolutely pop and saturate in bright tones, I chose the Rudy EMB, at least one of the best, maybe the best EMB out there. It's comprehensive and well done and covers everything you need. Now it may take some time to set everything up correctly, but in the end it's more than worth it. Now let's talk about the abilities that we want to use for our Mesmer. The very first ability that we want to cover is the Bound Sword Conjuration spell. This will be our bread and butter and the main damage source when it comes to melee DPS, as well as providing an easy way to level up Conjuration in the early stages of the game. We will have the spell equipped in the left and the right hand and go for a dual wield setup. You can obtain the spell as soon as level 1 by traveling to Dragon's Reach in Whiterun. Inside you can find the slightly stressed and a little bit misanthropic court wizard Farengar.
Spells and incantations for those with the talent to cast them.
Grab the spell tome Bound Sword and you're good to go. Now there are 2 major advantages when it comes to the Bound Sword ability. First, it looks absolutely badass right out the gate. No modding, pure vanilla. The second is we never have to worry about farming or crafting any weapons in the entirety of the game. Our next ability is the Phantom Decoy Shout. This lets us deploy a phantom illusion in the form of a greybeard. It will pull the aggro of opponents so they attack it and get distracted. Now we can assess the situation and either deal damage to the opponent or, after the cooldown is worn off, shatter the illusion by activating the shout a second time and absolutely blasting enemies away. Now how can you get this ability? Step 1, install the Thunderchild mod, which is an awesome shout overhaul for Skyrim. Step 2, follow the main quest line that will lead you to a place called High Hrothgar. I will not go too deep into any detail to avoid spoilers, but after you return a certain object, there will be a ceremony and you'll be rewarded with the shout at the end of it. Now one word regarding the installation process of Thunderchild. It's relatively easy and straightforward, but make sure you have the SkyUI compatibility patch downloaded and installed. Next up we have the Bound Bow Conjuration spell. This will be our main choice when it comes to ranged combat, as there are a lot of situations where you want to attack the enemies from afar. Especially in fights with dragons or when vertical terrain is involved, the Bound Bow spell will let you take care of those fights and therefore makes for an excellent addition to the Mesmer's toolkit. The spell is part of the vanilla game, so it doesn't require any modding, offers very high base damage and conveniently provides you with infinite arrows, so 0 maintenance is required. To acquire this spell, go to the College of Winterhold. Make sure your conjuration level is above 50 as this is an adept spell, and enter the Hall of Countenance at night. You will find Phoenix Gestor in a bed on the left hand side. Buy the spell tome Bound Bow and you're ready to blast. If you want to enhance your archery gameplay with mods, I would recommend you install True Directional Movement by Urshan and absolutely check out Bow Charge Plus. Next up we have the Nemesis ability, which lets you summon an illusion mirror image that copies your enemy. It will attack your target and it fades when it dies. The Nemesis ability is actually a perk in the illusion skill tree. It lets you press the activate button on a humanoid or creature, which will open up a menu where you can select Nemesis and conjure a clone. This perk is part of a mod called Ordinator Perks of Skyrim, which is the skill tree overhaul of my choice, as it offers a deep system of build variety and character progression. Now while the installation of Ordinator is not at all problematic, you should concern yourself with patches and compatibility depending on your mod list. In my particular case, I use the Ordinator patch for MCO and the Ordinator patch for no time block, as I'm using Valhalla Combat. Up next is the Bound Armor Conjuration spell, which comes from a namesake mod of Bound Daedric Armor by Sagittarius22, which, you guessed it, lets you summon a spectral Daedric armor with the corresponding shield, which looks A, amazing, and B, beefs you up against opponents. When the situation gets hairy, it's never a bad thing to have some extra armor points, especially in situations with multiple opponents or when a lot of archers are aiming at you. The mod also includes a spell that lets you cast the Daedric armor on allies, which means from now on you and your follower will be dressed in Daedric haute couture. As far as installation difficulty is concerned, this mod is plug and play full stop. stop. Acquiring the armor in game though will take you a little bit more effort. You will have to find the recipe in the open world of Skyrim and then craft a spell tome in the Atronach forge below the College of Winterhold. If you're looking for a shortcut, I advise you to read the mod page. One important thing to mention is that the bound armor appears on top on whatever you have equipped. So I have 98 armor now for my Royal Level armor set. After going into the Spectral Super Saiyan mode, the armor will be calculated on top, making it a robust 210 armor rating. Keep in mind that the bound Edric armor is a heavy armor and profits from heavy armor perks. Next up we have what is easily my favorite ability that I put together for this build, the Trickster Illusion spell. You can see that it's powerful magic when our character lifts both hands up in the air. To cast a ritual on release, it makes the screen shake like an absolute earthquake. When the dust settles, our player character has become invisible and we've summoned 2 mirror image illusions which are an exact copy of our player character. They have access to all the spells, weapons and equipment that you have in your repertoire and make use of them quite autonomously. Now how can you actually get this spell? The Trickster spell is part of a bigger spell package mod named Lost Grimoire, which adds over 120 new spells to the game. But there's a tricky part. The mod has originally been made for Skyrim Legendary Edition, which is an older version of the game and has never been ported officially to Skyrim Special Edition or newer versions, which means you have to port it yourself. This might sound difficult, but it's actually easier to do than you think. All you have to do is grab the Cathedral Asset Optimizer and the Skyrim Creation Kit and downgrade it to the version that you're using. After that, just follow the very easy tutorial, which is indicated in the link on the Cathedral Asset Optimizer mod description page. Now back to the Trickster spell. To acquire this awesome illusion spell in game, you have to level up your illusion skill to 100. After doing so, you will have to travel to the College of Winterhold yet once more. Once you're there, a fine gentleman named Travis Naloran will have a quest for you called Illusion Ritual Spell. After completing the quest, the spell will be purchasable from Travis Naloran and you're ready to be an absolute late game Mesmer clone conjuring beast. Before we move on, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel in case you like what you see in this video. This is the best way to stay informed about future videos and to support me and the channel with upcoming projects. Before we jump into the perks, I want to remind you real quick that I'm using the Ordinator perks of Skyrim mod, including the Ordinator patch for MCO. For this specific build, I recommend you install those 2 mods even if you don't use MCO. The main skill trees as a core of this build are one-handed, conjuration, illusion, light armor and archery. If you want to complement the build to enhance your min-max damage potential even further, I suggest you check out the speech, enchanting and alchemy tree. To kick things off, let's jump into the one-handed tree. As melee attacks are our main damage source, I suggest you prioritize this tree in your build order. As we have a whole lot of perks in the one-handed tree, I'm not gonna go through them one by one and read them out loud to bore you. Instead, I'm going to show them on screen here for you to screenshot or snipping tool them. Moving along, I will just cover the most important ones that either synergize or have an actual impact on the gameplay or how you strategize in combat. One-handed mastery will increase all of our attack damage by 15% for 5 seconds for each regular attack that we perform in combat. This effect stacks up to 4 times when dual wielding and each hit refreshes the duration timer. Furthermore, the crosscut perk will make our unblocked regular attacks make our power attacks 40% stronger for 2 seconds. To make our power attacks even more devastating, we have the Into the Dust perk, which lets our power attacks stack up above up to 3 times for 15% damage each, which equals 45% more damage on power attacks. Now what is all this supposed to mean? Let's break it down into some ground rules. We want to start each and every fight by 4 normal attacks and follow it up by 2 power attacks. After that, we make sure to weave in an unblocked normal attack every 2 seconds. Bust out as many power attacks as we can possibly manage and never let more than 4 seconds pass between each power attack. That way we have 145% more damage on power attacks if we keep up all of our buffs, and we can enjoy the big hits and crits that will occasionally happen from the perks Falling Sword, Windswept or Thundering Blow, sometimes even at the same time. The second skill tree that you should prioritize right after one-handed is Conjuration. This of course will beef up our bound weapons and the duration of our conjuration spells, such as the armor. I suggest you pick up all the perks that are shown on screen right now, with some of them having a higher priority over the less significant ones. Pick up Mystic Binding really as soon as possible, as this will straight buff up our attack damage with bound weapons. Pick up White Burn with a high priority as well, as this will drain opponents of their resources, making it a very useful skill in combat. Furthermore, pick up Dark Whispers as soon as you can possibly get it, which gives us a whopping 20% extra attack damage on bound weapons and 100 armor rating when we strike with a bound weapon. Next up, we have the Illusion perk skill tree, which we of course need as a Mesmer for our clones and mind control abilities. I suggest you pick up all the perks on screen while rushing to Nemesis as soon as you can. Commanding Presence, Crown of the False King, Imperious Splendor and Protect Your God will beef and buff up your illusions and clones' offensive and defensive stats. Whenever you get the chance, pick up the Blind Guardian perk as well, which is somewhat like Nemesis but for allied creatures and humanoids. If you're looking for a more mind controlling Mesmer approach, the Illusion tree's got you covered as well. Fear, Frenzy, Rally and Calm spells are at your disposal with the corresponding perks. perks, those I leave for you to explore, as I prefer the clone and illusion approach, although you will probably have to use them to level up your illusion skill to 100. Next up, we're taking a look at the light armor tree, which of course boosts our defense rating but also boosts our mobility and translates into actual damage. I recommend you pick up all the perks on screen, but we are going for a War Dancer rush. When War Dancer is active, we deal 20% more attack damage and crit damage, which is massive. This bonus is lost for 6 seconds whenever we get hit in combat. As far as ground rules for combat are concerned, this means two simple things: be swift and don't get hit. A true War Dancer knows when to retreat and when to hit like an absolute train. Now let's get into the archery tree next, from which we literally take every single perk but one, which is the trick arrows perk, as we cannot upgrade our conjured arrows. Besides that, we take all the perks, just all of them. Among the most important ones is long shot, which increases our damage relative to the distance that we are away from the target. Snipe lets us increase the damage to a target that we haven't shot in 10 seconds. Thread the needle ignores 50% of the armor when the target is not moving. Ambush predator gives us a 25% damage increase when we haven't moved for 6 seconds. And finally, 3 crows deals bonus damage equal to 15% of the target's current health when we hit the same target consecutively 3 times in less than 2.75 seconds. Now I know, too much info, too many numbers, too fast. Let me break it down for you into ground rules. We deal the most damage with the bow if we don't move with the bow equipped for 6 seconds on a target that is beyond 50 feet away, we haven't shot in 10 seconds, and it is not moving. Make sure to always use fully drawn bow shots, and if possible make it 3 in a row. As far as bug fixes are concerned, for Ordinator specifically, there is something called the ability condition bug. Without a bug fix, some perks may not apply correctly or may stop working after a seemingly random amount of time. Now there are 2 bug fix collections that take care of that: Bugfixes SSE and Scrambled Bugs, and I actually recommend you use both of them. But make sure to set the magic effect conditions to false in the Bugfixes SSE.json when you pair it with Scrambled Bugs. Additionally, set the perk entry points apply multiple spells line to true in the scrambled-bugs.json file. If you're having trouble setting anything up, hop on my Discord server and let's help each other out. You can find the link in the description of this video. To give you my closing thoughts, I think we've successfully executed a build that comes very close to what I had in mind, what I felt like a Mesmer class should be in an RPG. What I really like about the build is that it's very balanced in terms of versatility, and it's well equipped for basically any situation that can happen in the game. It's also just good, it's a good class. It has crazy damage and you can become quite OP, especially in the later stages of the game. But I think that's okay because it's a hustle and a grind to get there. And we're the flippin' Dragonborn after all. And you're also kind of a glass cannon, so you always have to watch out, you have to strategize, you have to position yourself well in combat, which encourages a very tactical playstyle, which I find fun, with new abilities that felt actually unique. So a breath of fresh air. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed my playthrough with this. That's gonna wrap it up for this video. If you enjoy Skyrim builds, make sure to check out my Frost Knight video next. Thanks everybody for watching, stay safe, I catch you in the next episode.